Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and we're back with you on social media to discuss yesterday's election. We've been on consistently, 8 o'clock, getting you ready for the election. We were on last night for a great deal of time, and we had a very, very large audience. And of course, as is usually the case lately, elections don't get decided on election night. A little more of this election got decided than normally is the case nowadays. I think the election process substantially improved over 2020. I think it improved over 2021 to the extent that there was one in 2021. It was much smaller. There are some problems with it. Arizona looks like it has big problems. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that right now. We'll spend time on that tomorrow and the next day. Let's see if we can figure out, with everybody taking victory laps and trying to position people, and the president acting like he just won a great victory. Let's see if we can put it in perspective. The expectation is the thing that causes the feeling that the Democrats won. They certainly didn't win. They have definitely, and without any doubt, lost a House, which we'll demonstrate to you in a moment. They are in jeopardy of losing the Senate much more than you think. I'm going to show you why now. And then some of the things that happened in the election, some of the things that emerged from the election in terms of the issues that are important and the states that have gotten further red that used to be toss-up states. I'm talking about Florida, but if you look carefully, something's happened to them in Virginia as well. So basically, the red wave, massive red wave, tsunami-type wave, didn't happen. And if it did happen, it stopped at the Pennsylvania border and was taken over by some pretty brainwashed voting, particularly for Fetterman. I don't care, Republican, Democrat. How you could elect that guy it's an embarrassment to our process, but we have to respect it. It is democracy. Democracy can make some very, very odd, strange, perverted decisions. Not perfect, right? So let's look at the Senate now and see where it stands as of right now. So last night when we concluded, the Senate was basically 48 Republican Democrats. There were four seats, four races in doubt. I used this earlier, so 3 are crossed out, and you'll see why in a moment. But Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia were not decided. So today, I put them in order of how I thought they would be decided, the speed with which they would be decided. So Wisconsin was decided about the middle of the day, and Senator Johnson won a tight victory, but a very, very convincing one, because Wisconsin probably does the best job of counting its votes and probably has made the most effective changes. So Wisconsin has switched, as you'll see on the big board back here. So with that, with Wisconsin going red, the Republicans get to a tantalizing 49. Now that's a big number, right? 49. They are one vote away from half, but half doesn't count. Half is a loss. 50 is a win for the Democrats and a loss for the Republicans. In this sense, the Democrats have a one-vote margin. They need to get to 50. Republicans need to get to 51 because Kamala Harris has the tying vote. Arizona is not going to be decided before Friday, I am told. But I don't think, although Wisconsin is for sure, there are people who say that the remaining votes in Arizona, and given the fact that Arizona doesn't necessarily have a preponderance of Democrat early voters. They also have Republican early voters. And Trump in Arizona, it's one of the places where he picked up votes as the counting went along. But I still am going to say that Arizona's going to go Democrat. That's what I think. I think the lead that that has been developed by Kelly is just a little bit too much for Masters to overtake. I do think Kerry Lake will overtake Hobbs and win the governor's race when those votes get counted. I don't think it's going to be enough for Masters to pull in Masters. Now, am I going to have to change that 3 days from now, 4 days from now? Yes, I would happily do that because that would get the Republicans to 50. But I think the Republicans are going to get to 50 in another state where they're not ready to call it because there are ballots that are out. Enough ballots so you could change the election. I will say, I think you can go to bed pretty comfortable that within the next day or two, Laxalt is going to win Nevada with the 2.1% lead that he has right now, and that'll be a red state. So there we are, 50, 49, and what does that mean? That means this election gets put off until December 6th, because December 6th, this will be decided in one state, and it'll be in the state of Georgia. The entire Senate, once again, will be determined in the state of Georgia. Now, just one thing I want to tell you as a piece of wisdom to keep in mind. However Nevada goes, that'll probably determine how Georgia goes. If Nevada goes Democrat, now let's see what happens if it goes Democrat. If it goes Democrat, the Democrats win the moment it goes Democrat, particularly if I'm right about Arizona. They get 50 votes, it's over. With Harris, it's effectively 51 votes. And Georgia means, it means something. I mean, a 1-vote margin is a lot tougher than a 2-vote margin. God forbid somebody dies and you got to make a switch. However, if Georgia doesn't mean as much, I just don't see the Republican enthusiasm being as great. And some of the Republican divisions, which are notorious in Georgia that hurt last time, might hurt again. However, if Nevada goes, as I think it will, red, and Arizona goes blue, and we're at 50 Republicans and 49 Democrats, then Georgia determines the leadership of the Senate. If it goes Democrat, then it is 50-50, like it has been, and Schumer is in charge. Biden is in charge. If it goes Republican, then, of course, we've got a new Senate. We've got the possibility not only of blocking Biden, which we have already with the House, or we will have, but we have the possibility of passing legislation and putting him on his desk and giving him sensible things that he has to deal with rather than probably some of the most idiotic legislation that any Congress has passed that he has signed, or ridiculous directives that he's passed, mandates, spending like it's the Second World War, denying that there's a recession, basically denying there's inflation. We've got Pelosi, who hopefully is gone for good. I mean, she's been gone before. This is like the hand that comes out of the monster. You kill it like one time, and you kill it again, and back again. It seems to me we defeat her all the time. Now, are we going to defeat her again? That's the question. I think that now is the bigger question. No, it isn't a bigger question because we are going to defeat her. The chances of winning the House are 80%, 90%. Almost no chance went up. Chances of winning the Senate, I rate the Republican chances a little better because I think this is how it's going to go. And I think if Nevada goes Republican, Georgia does, but that's a 60% chance, 55% chance, 60% chance. The House it may very well be done already, and they're just not calling it because they don't want Republicans to have a victory today so that Biden can take his, he can get out of the nursing home and take his little victory lap. So let's go to the House of Representatives, where we're dealing with a lot bigger numbers, right? So right now, and here's why the Republicans have such a better chance, a much better chance of winning than the Democrats, because I want you to look at those. I want you to look at those numbers. You need 218 votes for a majority. So the Republicans at now 209 call for them, 189 call for the Democrats. The Republicans, 209 to 218 is 9. The Republicans need to win 9 more races out of 37. Okay, we got to win 9 of 37. 9 of 37 to get a majority, which they may have already won. Some of them are races I know they've already won, like in New York. There are 2 in New York that are not counted in that 209 number. So 209 is really 211. But let's just go with what we got on the board. 209 to get to 218, which should be there. The map is deficient in not having 218, which is the majority. That's the majority. 209 to 218 is, everybody know, this is American math, not Democrat math, where you can give any answer you want, right? Isn't that what they teach kids now? And if you object, then you put on the Justice Department terrorist list. So under American math, which Pelosi might change, I don't know, we need 9 more. Now, what do they need? They need 189. 199 is 10. 209 is 20. And so they need 29. Right? They need 29 more. So we need 9 of 37, right? And for them to get there, I'm going to make sure we're right. We're going to make sure we're right. We're going to make sure we're right. So they need 189 to 199 to 109, right? That's 20. And they need 29 more. So they need 29 of 37 votes. So who do you think is going to win? The one that needs 9 of 37 or the one that needs 29 of 37? So here's the issue. How many more do the Republicans get than 9? So if they were to split, right? If they were to just split the difference between the two, if they would go 50-50, which our country is basically divided, right? Our country is basically divided 50-50. And let's give the Democrats the extra vote. It would be 18 more for the Republicans, and it would be 19 more for the Democrats, right? And it would be 227 to 208, which is considerably larger than the 9-vote margin they have right now. Double the majority the Democrats have right now. Okay, let's split the difference and say we end up at 225 for the Republicans. It would still be larger than the Democrat majority. The minute that happens, Biden's lost. He's lost because a couple things happen. He can't pass a damn thing. This is going to be a rather conservative Republican House. Remember, I told you, all 185 Republicans who voted against his being legitimately elected are in that number. Many of those elected are what they call election deniers. They did very well, the election deniers, despite the hypes of the Democrats in the House. And McCarthy and Jordan have made a deal that they're not holding back the punches like they did with Ryan. This is not going to be a rhino Republican House. I mean, Ryan basically sold out the Republicans by never approving a subpoena. How is it that Holder was held in contempt and didn't go to jail, and they want to put Republicans in jail? Because of Paul Ryan. So it can be a different House. He's going to have to deal with everything being blocked that they don't like in the best interest of this country. All the communist and socialist legislation that they want to pass will be blocked. They're not going to be able to stack the Supreme Court and destroy our form of government. They're going to have serious problems with their spending, serious problems, since their spending is at record insane levels and is causing the inflation that we have right now, that the American people made the number one issue, except not every one of them converted it into a vote against the Democrats because they're brainwashed by a media that is, 80% Democrat. It's understandable why a good portion of this country would be brainwashed. The media brainwashes them. So tomorrow, I predict, if they can hold it off one more day so Biden can have a little happy time before he goes back into the basement for the weekend, they'll hold it off, but it's over. The question about Republican control of the House now is it 2-3? Is it 10-12? Is it 15 margin? Republicans have control of the House. I predict that McCarthy's the next speaker. If he isn't, it'll be even worse from the point of view of it. The reason he won't be the next speaker is they don't feel he'll keep up his deal with Jordan to permit extensive, intense investigations. And big question, and we'll answer it tomorrow night. I don't have the answer right now. What happens to the January 6th committee? It is no longer, it's no longer going to be authorized by the House, right? Republicans got thrown off the committee. They must be a little annoyed. McCarthy's got to be a little PO'd that every one of his members were rejected by, and she's put together an illegal committee. I think they should dissolve it, and they should present the Democratic National Committee with a bill for all the expenses of the committee. That's what I would do, because it was a political exercise, and they should do a sense of the House that everybody who's been held in jail for 14, 15 months should be released and described as similar to the Japanese people who were interned during the Second World War, except possibly for those who are legitimately were involved in an assault. Now, they should be prosecuted, but they shouldn't be in jail for 14 to 15 months. I mean, in New York, if you do an assault, Bragg gives you, I think, a reward, and he gives you extra welfare money. So, I mean, the double standard is disgusting, and will keep us united so long as it exists. So that's where we stand. All right, we got some questions, and I'm going to ask Dr. Maria to join us, if she would, because she spent the night last night quite disappointed, because in New Hampshire, where we thought there would be a Republican victory for the Senate, and we thought there'd be a Republican victory, at least in the first district, with a very young and exciting candidate, who remains a very young and exciting candidate, turned into a defeat. And I've been at victory parties, and I've been in victory parties that turned into defeat parties, and they are really should be called wakes.
Well, hello, everybody. And I want to remind everybody, depending on how you're watching the mayor, through Twitter, sign up for his Twitter. Please follow him. Facebook, please follow him. Sign up for the YouTube channel. However you're watching him, make sure you're signing up.
And you should know
and subscribing
that the podcasts are produced by her. So that's why they're good.
All the good ones, anyway.
All the ones with the big numbers.
But yes.
Oh, you've had the biggest numbers, actually.
So I live in New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire. Even though the maps always say we're blue, I always tell people we're a conservative state. We've always been conservative. We don't have a sales tax. We don't have a state tax. We mind our own business. We believe people should work hard. We don't really like welfare. Well, through the last couple decades, that's changing a little bit. We have people migrating into New Hampshire who don't share our values about working hard. But we
Oh, they come from
also,
from the socialist state of Massachusetts,
yes.
or from the socialist state of New York.
And we also have a bad policy where we allow college students who aren't residents vote. I'm okay with them voting, obviously, if they're a resident of the state. But if they're coming from California, Portland, or wherever, and they have no intention of staying here, they're not a resident, and they vote their radical left ways, it really suppresses the vote of the citizens of New Hampshire. But it was definitely a defeat that we weren't anticipating in Congressional 1. We really thought Caroline Leavitt, 25-year-old, full of energy, Gen Zer, yes, Gen Z, was going to take it.
I know what that is.
Yeah, and
I can do batting averages.
we knew General Bolduc was going to be neck and neck with Maggie Hassan, but I really had hope. I was at his headquarters last night that he was going to pull it off, but he got crushed.
You know,
He literally got
it was, and I put us in the category, although we did consistently back up our happy expectations with warnings.
Yeah.
I think I always
For
said,
that particular race,
every
yeah.
time I finished, I would say, watch out, elections
Yeah. I was an
never turn out the
optimist,
way you think.
though.
But I would like to say about the polls, because they got it right. So, I mean, Bolduc was not predicted to win.
Yeah, that's true.
She was not. Oh, she was predicted
She
to win.
was.
Sorry, the last one of these 270s or Political Report or whatever one you want to go by, she was the consensus winner. He was supposed to lose by a point or two.
Yep, Chris Pappas.
Even Fetterman was predicted to be the winner.
All right, may I just say something? Who the hell would have voted for Fetterman? Like, come on, have we dummied down our
Yes.
education so
Yes,
much
yes.
that you would vote for a person pre-stroke who believes murderers should be released? Like, that's pre-stroke. Never mind the stroke, and he has a
So
hard
may I
time
make?
with
May I try to
cognitive
explain
ability.
that? I try to explain that.
Yes.
So I think the red wave did happen, and the wave of responsibility, common sense. But I think it stopped here. Right here.
Yeah,
Right here,
and
Maryland.
up in that beautiful.
You see
NH.
Maryland here? This is where the red wave stopped. And over here on this coast,
Yep.
right there, you see? So if you,
Well, we don't know if Arizona
these
might go
colors,
red.
these colors are kind of messed up here.
Yeah, they're like a
These should all be red.
Yeah, they're like a
So,
dark
but if
blue.
you go Pennsylvania out and you get to the coast, I mean, you just got you got three exceptions out of all those states. Illinois, which has the murder capital of, weekend
And
capital.
how could they vote for that governor again?
Colorado and Arizona.
Holy mackerel. Same with Michigan. How could you vote for Whitmore? She shut down your state. She said,
And lied about it.
yeah, and she said that your children shouldn't go to school and you
Okay.
shouldn't go out on your boats, but she
Well,
could
that's
go
the next
on the
election.
boats. But anyways.
But the point
Can
is-
I finish something to let you know, too,
Yeah.
because I don't know if you know this. So one of the things I wanted to make sure is our executive council here in New Hampshire stayed red. Our governor won his reelection,
Big time.
Republican, and we always had a majority Republican on the executive council, which has got a lot of power in our state, more so in a lot of respects than the governor. Well, we did. We're 4 out of 5 Republicans. So 4 Republicans, 1 Democrat.
And a Republican
on the
governor,
executive
and-
council.
and
so
the-
I was happy with that.
And the lower house is Republican, or the one
Yeah,
house is
yeah,
Republican.
yeah.
You really have one house, and you have a privy council.
Well,
It is
we know of a
modeled.
House and a Senate. We have a House and a Senate.
Yeah, and they're Republican.
I think they're both Republican. I have to check.
Yeah,
to see
they're
if they
Republican.
stayed both.
They're both Republican, and the governor's Republican.
Yeah.
Locally, you vote Republican.
Yeah.
Nationally, you more often lately have been voting Democrat
and I
than
don't get
Republican.
it.
I don't either
Maggie
completely.
Hassan and Chris Pappas are sinking all of us. Do you know they're saying that New England, not just New Hampshire, is going to run out of diesel? We may even have a hard time with oil because they shut down that Keystone pipeline.
Oh, it's a-
Do you still love them?
Where
Do
I
you go to the grocery store?
when you point at that map and you look at Pennsylvania, Maryland up, it's basically the socialist states of the Northeast.
Yeah, don't
It could be
say
named the
that.
socialist states of the Northeast.
Where am I gonna
New York,
go?
New York has, I think, doomed itself. Oh, I hate to say that, but this is 20 years going in of Democrat governors who have taken the state and returned New York City to what it was like before I was mayor, ruined it. But it's different than when I was mayor. Upstate New York is now
They
crime-ridden.
did well, but they did well in Republicans in Long Island, right?
Well, but they
Is
didn't.
Long Island different than upstate?
Should vote pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Republicans did do well, lower ticket. Republicans did very poorly because it wasn't a question of getting close. We had to win to save the state. 4 years of after Spitzer, who goes out on a scandal, Cuomo, who goes out on a scandal, this one who will go out on a scandal. I mean, she's got a scandal.
Her lieutenant governor had already gone.
Yeah,
out
I
and
mean, if
been
you get an
arrested.
honest U.S. attorney or DA, she can be prosecuted. I mean, her husband, she's building a stadium. It's costing twice what it should cost. And her husband gets hired by the company that does the concessions when they're having a dispute in Buffalo so they can get her support. That's not bribery. I mean, it's not as obvious maybe as Biden's, but it's pretty obvious. Then she's got another one with, we're paying 3 times more for COVID tests than they do anyplace else because they gave her $300 million. And about 2 more. So again, we've elected a crooked Democrat. Second, she won't do a damn thing about crime, and crime is going to ruin New York City if it isn't already.
She said it was a GOP conspiracy.
It's a GOP conspiracy, and she castigated or corrected Zeldin because he thinks it's too important. Now, Zeldin did much better than any Republican has since Pataki.
Oh, I was praying
He got within 7%, which, normally you'd say that's wonderful because it shows the state maybe starting to go Republican. Plus, he delivered because we picked up. Now, his base of strength is Long Island. He's been the congressman from the far end of Long Island, what people would think of as Southampton, but not just rich Southampton, even the middle class areas like the town of Brookhaven, which is a solid middle class community. So he had strong support there. When he ran against Andrew, my son, that's where he beat him, in Long Island. And he ran up great numbers there. He ran up great numbers again there. He got 30% of the city, which isn't bad for a Republican. Pataki only got 28% of the city. But Pataki ran way ahead of him upstate. Now, he won upstate, but he didn't win big time. However, he brought in with him, we only had 2 of the 4 congressional seats on the island. We now have 4 of 4. That's a +2, by the way, one of which hasn't been counted in that number I showed you, which means we don't have 9 to go. We have 8 to go.
Yay!
Okay.
Do you want to say a question or anything?
Well, we're getting a lot of questions. Thanks for joining us. We are breaking records again tonight with the number of viewers. Thanks for being a part of the extended family. And please visit RudyGiulianiCS.com. That's RudyGiulianiCS.com. Mayor, what does the CS stand for?
Common sense. There'll be a podcast out hopefully tomorrow. We cut it today, and it will go into detail on not only what happened, at least as we can tell one day later, but what we can take from it as to what the major issues will be. Because whether we like it or not, even though 2022 is not over, the 2024 election has already started.
Yes.
And you can see that. You can see that in both places. You can see that in the interchange between DeSantis and Trump, and you can see it the way Biden acted today.
Oh, I'm told Biden practically announced. I guess he was. I didn't see it. I was told maybe a reporter asked, and he confirmed. Yes, I'm running. Now he said
may not
that
remember, though. He
in
may not
the
remember.
past,
That
and then
doesn't-
he pulled back a little bit, saying, "Well, we're kind of, looking."
He
at
can't remember his
22."
wife. How's he going to remember if he said he's running? I mean, the man is a wreck. And today it looked like they pumped him up. Today he looked good, actually. They must have given him something that pumped him up. unlike the way he's looked lately, where tragically he keeps saying that his son died in battle, even though he gets corrected. He walks around, gets lost in the White House, introduces President Harris, stumbled the other day again, but nobody showed it. I mean, the guy is worse than most of the people I've confronted in nursing homes. And I don't see how he gets even another year without stumbling,
I
falling.
don't know how he even won the first time, actually. He never came out of his basement.
Wasn't as bad
He
as
wouldn't
Fetterman,
want
though.
to meet with the people. It's just,
Now you can be Fetterman and win.
yep.
You can get up and begin a debate by saying, thank you very much for having this debate. Goodbye.
Thanks for
No,
joining
no.
us.
No, stay for the debate, Fetterman.
Like, comment, and share on the platform you're viewing this on. Every weeknight at 8 p.m., you can catch America's Mayor Live with Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Tonight, featuring Dr. Maria, live from New Hampshire. One question we're getting about Dr. Maria, we have one person up there who has ran and successfully won high office. When will we see Dr. Maria running in the future?
Well, that question has haunted me for over a decade. I've been asked about running for U.S. Senate from New Hampshire, obviously. And on our radio show, we have a radio show together called Uncovering the Truth.
Every Sunday, 10 to 11.
Every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. But you can listen. We get calls from all over the world, actually, by going to WABCradio.com. And my listeners there think I should run for president. they have said that.
Don't tell Trump and DeSantis, they'll start attacking you. Oh, maybe the president will, I don't know. He likes you very much, you know that. He always says, where's Maria? Oh, look at Maria, she's here. So now let's turn to, we're going to find out shortly about that house, probably within a day or two. It may take us longer to find out about Nevada. I hope not. I hope we get Nevada decided tomorrow or the next day. See, I think all this extended counting of the vote, whether it's because of utter total government incompetence, creates for a lot of people suspicion. How is it that every other state has counted their vote, but these 3-4 states haven't?
Hey, we have countries.
And their states bigger than these.
Look at France and other countries that seem to run a better, more voter integrity than the United States lately. And that really upsets me. I think that we, as the United States, should always be in the forefront of voter integrity, secure elections. And they're saying what? Maricopa County, probably not till Friday. We won't know.
That's ridiculous. I mean, Maricopa County population is about 1 million. New York State is 18 million. They've counted their vote already. Florida is 21 million. I'm thinking of Republican and Democrat.
Florida,
They've counted their vote already. California has counted its vote already. I mean, these are big states. Arizona and Nevada are not big states. Tell me, Arizona and Nevada, tell me, Maricopa County, what the hell is going on? So,
Mayor, talk about the state of Nevada. The makeup of the voters, what are the key constituencies? Give us some more info.
Well, Nevada is a Republican state, but for Las Vegas and but for the unions. It isn't even Las Vegas. It's the unions are extremely powerful, more powerful. Maybe about one of the few places where the unions really can affect elections. I mean, because the union movement is down to nothing in terms of private unions, and municipal unions are there, but municipal workers half the time don't vote with it. Like cops are municipal workers. They don't vote Democrat, they vote Republican. Then teachers do vote Democrat. But if it weren't for the unions in Las Vegas, Nevada would be a solid Republican state. They also wouldn't be plagued by crooked elections if it weren't for the unions. I mean, I'm saying this one will be. I have a feeling that everybody's too nervous right now to go back to the old ways. They may be a little of it. And Arizona is giving a good imitation of it and really hurting itself with these screwed up votes in Maricopa County. And Maricopa County was the scene of the murder. Right?
Yeah,
One of the
yeah.
scenes of the murder last time.
Yep, they had a lot of issues.
So let's talk about Arizona and the makeup of that state. What are the key constituencies as a Republican? What do you need to do to
It's
win?
Arizona's a Republican state. This should not be happening in Arizona. The Republican Party really was divided because of the division between McCain and McCain and the party sometimes, and then eventually McCain and Trump. So, like in Georgia, you've got a state that's essentially Republican, where the party is not completely united. And I think that's why, if the election turns to Georgia and it's about the leadership of the United States Senate, it's going to go all Republican. Every Republican on both sides, the Trump people, the people that might now be DeSantis people, they're all going to vote the same way. And there's no division right now on that. That's why I think Nevada decides the election in a strange way. If Nevada goes Democrat, well, it's over. The Senate goes to the Democrat. If Nevada goes Republican, it's almost like helping to give us Georgia. What's the constituency? I mean, both have fairly heavy Hispanic votes, Native American votes. The Hispanic vote is no longer what it was for Democrats, particularly out there. Laxalt has done, as far as I can tell from the polling, Laxalt has gotten his fair share of Hispanic votes, even though he's running against a Hispanic. I don't know that he's at 50%, but he's doing very well. Masters is doing very well with the Hispanic vote.
Why is that, Mayor?
Well, because Hispanics are into the second and third generation. And some of the people that are the most angry about the open border are Hispanics. If you live in Arizona, you're getting beaten into the ground by the open border. I mean, look, the Democrats in New York and Chicago and Washington get a few illegals, and Adams and Lightfoot and who's the mayor in another useless mayor in Washington, D.C.
Bowser.
Oh, Bowser, yeah, who wouldn't take the National Guard for January 6th, but was crying for the National Guard because she got a couple of illegals.
When she got her first 50, she wanted.
Yeah, and
help from the federal government.
Adams was crying, and he got like 1,000 or something.
Over 2 million people entered our country illegally.
Just this year.
Just this year.
Since the president with the cognitive disability has been in office, it's been closer to 4 million that we know of.
Of course.
Now, there's no doubt, there's a whole group that we don't know of. For every know of, pick your expert, there are either 50% more that we don't know of to 100% more. So we have somewhere between 2 and 4 million people that have come in under President cognitive deficient. I wonder if he's having his ice cream. You think he eats it himself, or
Yes.
do you think Jill?
No, Jill helps with the napkin.
Well, she doesn't help him when he falls. When he falls going down, she just lets him fall.
I would have helped him on those stairs.
You think
Remember
they don't
that
like him?
when he fell going up the stairs? I would
But a
have
lot of
ran
times,
and helped him.
how about
I would have.
what's that situation when he turns around and nobody comes and he has to go this way and that way and this way? Is this done because they hate him?
I think that was inside the White House or somewhere.
You know the idea that he's a nice guy. Not a nice guy. Don't you see how nasty he gets?
Yeah.
Look at what he calls
Well, that's
us.
part of the
But look-
vascular dementia. But he's also always
No, it's part of being an evil man. That's what it is.
pre his.
It's part of being a
condition,
30-year crook.
He was always a liar, right?
Liar.
I mean, it's well
He's a
documented.
professional liar.
Well documented.
He's a professional liar. He
Yeah.
started lying in law school.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us again. Like, comment, subscribe, and invite one more friend, family member, co-worker, someone you meet over the course of the next 24 hours to join us, and maybe we can double our numbers again for tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We're still got a lot of time here tonight, so thanks for tuning in, and be sure to visit RudyGiulianiCS.com. That's RudyGiulianiCS.com. Mayor, Doctor, maybe the question of the day, one of the questions of the day, how did John Fetterman come out on Dr. Oz, and what do you have to say? A lot of people, the national media and the legacy media, are pointing towards the fact that Oz won a primary, maybe another candidate if a different candidate had come out of the primary, they could have done better. Talk more about the Fetterman odds.
No. The candidates in that primary were not great candidates.
You
Any of
did-
them.
see,
They were
I
basically
like
they,
McCormick.
the candidates in that primary that really had a chance to win were all a bunch of professional Harrisburg hangers-on, sort of like the Albany swamp people. I mean, they had a bunch of politicians. I know them. I had to deal with them. I mean, Pennsylvania and Philadelphia is not exact. Well, Philadelphia is crooked as you can imagine, and they were guys who made deals with Democrats all their lives. I mean, part of what's going on here, because people say, "Oh, you should have run Republicans that were more accommodating," or is it that we ran Republicans and elected Republicans that are so accommodating we gave our country away?
That's right.
That's
What the heart of America is upset about, that there was too much compromising from the Republican Party. And that's why our whole country started to lean left with these radical policies. We have open borders. We're worried about national security. We're worried about the fentanyl poisonings. And then you have them just a blatant disregard for their financial ruin of this country. And then I could go.
I mean,
on
I'd
and on.
rather lose and keep building for the next election, which is what we've done in the House. So now we're going to elect a House, and I don't think they're going to
Hopefully
disappoint.
that'll put America first.
Yeah, and I think McCarthy has made the deal with Jordan. If he veers from it, I really think they'll throw him out. I don't think there's any room in this House for not following. I mean, you got to stop this guy Biden. This is an express train to communism. It is nothing less than that. And the states that you can isolate now in the Northeast and then right on the coast, those are socialist states. When the government's taking more than half of what you earn, think of it this way: when the government is the senior partner in your earnings, not you, not your family. When you're working more for them than you are for you and your family, that's Karl Marx. You're working to redistribute wealth. That's what you're working for. And at the bottom of every single one of the Biden disaster policies is the redistribution of wealth. That's what the whole climate change thing is about. It's about redistributing wealth.
Well, the thing I don't understand about the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they're coal country, fracking. I mean, they're part of our energy that we need in this country to be independent. How can any of those blue-collared workers vote for the Democrat Party?
Well, that may be where
it doesn't really make sense.
that may have more to do with why Dr. Oz, who I respect very much, and I think he's a fine man and a very intelligent man, and it's a tragedy he wasn't elected instead of a man who can't do the job. I mean, this is like electing a guy to be a boxer who's blind. I mean, the guy can't talk. What does the senator do? He talks. The guy can't make rational decisions. Not yet. Maybe he will 6 months from now. Maybe he won't. Plus, they're taking a risk. They're going to kill the guy by putting him under this kind of stress. A guy with this kind of stroke should be rehabbing, not in a stressful situation, not taking a job in the swamp. But in any event, if you had to pick a candidate for Pennsylvania, Trump is a candidate for Pennsylvania. Tough, rich billionaire, but he's a construction guy.
Yeah.
He talks construction language. 30 years of being against all the trade deals. Pennsylvania is filled with families that are poor because the jobs were sent to China, sent overseas by Democrats and by Biden in particular. Nobody could illustrate that better than a guy who can relate to the blue collar. Oz was a candidate for the Republican Party of 20 years ago. Not in policy, but in demeanor.
Yeah.
And in look and in feeling. They needed a tough guy running. The guy shouldn't have looked like Fetterman, but the guy should have looked like a tough guy. Yeah. A guy who they could relate to. I think that was the problem in Pennsylvania. Because, I mean, Trump won it. I believe he's won it twice. And the second time, I mean, just think, we're looking at these numbers. Trump was ahead in Pennsylvania with 67% of the vote, and he was ahead by 800,000 votes.
Yeah.
You don't make up 800,000 votes.
So many people, physicists, MIT people reached out to you and others after the 2020 election and said it was statistically impossible for Biden to make up the numbers.
Yeah, and
But
when you look at the-
anyways, we
that's
might
over.
get hung for saying that.
Oh,
we
we
can't
will,
have
we
an
will.
opinion in our America
We,
anymore.
we will. You're not allowed to say that. Now, however, 185 members of Congress who said that, voted that way, have been reelected.
There you go.
That's a lot
We
of
got
people
another
reelected.
Any questions just rolling in, we can't keep up. Please comment below your name and where you're tuning in from. Even most of these we won't be able to get to tonight on the air, but the mayor and the doctor love reading through comments, hearing from everybody. So please comment below, be a part of the discussion. More questions coming in, heading south down to SEC football country, the great state of Georgia. Mayor, strategy here. Doctor, let's talk about strategy. You don't get to 50% on the first vote. You know, you have all this fire and momentum going into election day. You got to keep people motivated and fired up now for 5 more weeks. You got to get to 50 plus 1. How do you do it?
Well, first of all, I really do think that Nevada is crucial to it. If Nevada goes, it looks like it's going to go Republican. If it goes Republican, it sets up Georgia to determine the leadership of the United States Senate. That will fire people up. That will fire people up. And they'll also realize, now for all the media spin, this could all end up with Biden losing the House and Senate. He's going to lose the House. I believe they're holding it back purposely. I believe they're holding it back purposely to give Biden 1 or 2 good days, 1 or 2 good days to spin. I mean, we got 8 votes to go. We just need 8 elections. We got to win now 8. We got to win 8 out of 35, and they got to win like 20 something out of 30. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And as I go into those 8 or 9, I already reduced it 1. And I think I can reduce it by 2 more, but why bother? It's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. I think McCarthy has already announced that they won. This is like what they did with what Fox did with Arizona in 2020 when they called it they called Arizona for Biden. Yeah. It turned out that Biden almost lost Arizona, and they wouldn't call Pennsylvania for Trump, even though it was ahead by 800,000.
Yeah. So let me answer that question about strategy for Georgia. I think Herschel Walker needs to take a week off, recharge his batteries, and get out. Do as many town halls, touch the people, listen to the people, be engaged again, because, right, this has been a very stressful midterm. People's anxiety was up. We're fighting for our nation, and it's done. We don't like 100% of the results, but everybody's they don't want to see any more commercials. They're kind of done. So he's going to have to really come out very energetic and be out there and be engaged to get the people re-engaged to go vote again.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Herschel has, can take 1 day off and that's it. Remember, Herschel won the last 4 or 5 weeks of the campaign. I mean, he was behind by 10 points. He's right now ahead by 1/10 of a point. The other guy had this thing won 4 or 5 weeks ago with all of the calumny and
2.5
defamation.
million people did early voting.
Well, yeah, that's where he lost. I mean, if there were no early voting, Herschel Walker would have won by 5. I mean, there's no doubt. It has to be because they won the early voting. And that was the period of time that he was getting attacked, had no adequate way to answer. They did the debate, and from the debate on, Herschel's been winning. So the guy goes in with the momentum. He goes into the runoff with the momentum. The only thing that will cut the momentum is if Nevada already gives the Senate to the Democrats, and it becomes a little bit of a afterthought of an election. And then, if it becomes what I think it becomes, an election for the Senate leadership, that is exactly what he should run on. It should be a 1-issue campaign.
Let me ask your listeners, and you all put in the comments, who do you want for Senate leadership? McConnell or Rick Scott?
Or maybe option C.
Schumer.
I think that's
Schumer?
so.
No. No, who's option C? Trump.
Dr. Maria, very interesting question. Taking over for Senate leadership, McConnell, Scott. Are you
Who?
giving them a third option, or are you asking?
Well, I don't know.
Let them write in. Let's see what they
write
say.
in a third.
You,
Yeah.
you have a
See,
third?
Who do we have for the
Ted,
Senate?
we got a
Who do you
third?
think is a third?
We have a third? Anybody have a
Let
third?
us know. So let's see. We're seeing
Rubio?
Rick Scott. Someone
Rick
says
Scott.
Rudy. Somebody wants Rudy. A lot of Rick Scott. General
Rudy.
Flynn, Trump, Scott, Donald Trump Jr.
I don't think you should.
Schumer, McConnell needs to be put in Guantanamo Bay. Rick Scott, they're coming in. Trump, Jim Jordan, Ted Cruz. This is all real live time.
Oh, wow.
Jordan
Yes,
can't,
these
Cruz
names.
can't.
A number of Rudies.
Why can't Ted
Marco
Cruz?
Rubio, John Kennedy gets a vote. Rudy, Rick Scott.
Oh,
So we're getting
Joe
look,
Kennedy.
these numbers, these votes are coming in real time, and we're getting a lot of.
May I make a suggestion to my
Rick Scott is
fellow?
getting a
Why can't
surprisingly
Ted
high
Cruz?
number.
I think I think in the case
Ted Cruz.
in the case of
think
that,
that's
it could be Ted Cruz.
Yeah, it could be Ted
Yeah,
Cruz.
sure. I believe I'm right about this, but you can check me. I'm not 100% sure. The Speaker of the House can be a non-member of the House. It means he can't vote.
Yeah.
So on the
But
House
it-
side, do you want to ask the same question for the House? A similar question?
Well, but I think on the majority leader side, you have to be a senator. So you can't do Rudy, you can't do Trump, you can't.
Well, they were talking about Trump at one time. For the House?
Speaker.
Oh, I thought it was
Because
for
it
the
would
Senate.
also put him second in line of the presidency.
Yeah.
Which the ignorant people think is third in line. You know, we went through that because the president calls it third in line. But you know, if the president says it, it's wrong. And that's a good way for kids to learn. You listen to Biden and then the opposite.
Oh,
Again, the
jeez.
question is, Senate leadership, Mitch McConnell, Rick Scott, or name a third.
And are they?
Oh,
You
we're
had a
getting
lot of
we're
Scots,
getting
right?
A lot of Scots, surprising.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
I'm for Scott too.
Rick
I think
Scott,
he'll be
the
tough.
doctor is with Rick Scott.
Yeah.
So if you're
He
Dr.
wants to
Maria,
get. I
let us
heard
know.
him speak one
I
time
would
that
say-
said it's very different from being governor, where you can get things done. He was governor in Florida, versus the Senate. He was very, very frustrated in the Senate that things just stay still
He was a
for
great-
a long time.
So Rick Scott was a great governor. He was as good as DeSantis and Bush. And one of the reasons Florida has half the budget of New York. Just think of that. $100 million for Florida, $225 million for New York. And Florida has 2 million more people.
Because yes,
And is a better state.
Because of
It's not
Scott?
losing population, it's gaining population. It has low unemployment. New York is almost two and a half times more, not quite, 2 times more, let's say. But it's losing population. It's got one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. So what's going on? What's going on is that Florida has had, with the exception of that 4 years of Christ, who was a pathetic creature, who was whipped as he should have been by DeSantis, they've had great governors. They've had Bush, who
Yeah,
was a
Jeb
great
Bush
governor.
did a great job.
Whatever you think of
Yeah.
his presidential run, he was a great governor.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you, Scott was a great governor, maybe better. Scott was never a great politician. He never knew how to sell it, but he was a great governor. And DeSantis is a great governor.
Yeah.
So it isn't as if DeSantis has come along and wow, this is the first great governor. This is and what do we have in New York?
Bad governor
We had
after bad governor.
Spitzer, who liked to keep his socks on when he was going with prostitutes. We had Cuomo, who sent old people to the nursing homes to die, and wrote his book on government time, and probably had the people write it. Took $5 million for a useless book, got an Emmy Award for getting people killed. I'm in a state that has one of the worst COVID records in the world, because him only exceeded by the moron in New Jersey, Murphy, I could prosecute. Cuomo would be closer. We can't prove Cuomo absolutely knew that they were going to get killed in the nursing home. Murphy was told about it. And Whitlis also. You just reelected her, by the way, Michigan. Real smart. I mean, you get another pandemic, she'll kill some more old people. Also, this is the one who put you in chains, and her husband was going around, having a great time, and so was she, vacationing, but you couldn't vacation. She can vacation. What's wrong with you? I don't know. What's wrong? What's wrong?
So that's interesting. If you look at some of the governors and the strong restrictive pandemic responses, Newsom, Whitmer,
They all got
Murphy,
reelected.
all get reelected. Cuomo
Illinois
finds
one.
himself out of office.
Yeah. Well,
So anything-
he had a lot of women accusing him of sexual harassment. So he had a multitude
I
of
think that
things
was a
going
setup
on.
so they wouldn't have to investigate him for
Yeah.
here's the difference. You get them on the women who maybe half were telling the truth and half were lying, or half were set up. A lot of them were Democrat women. So the Democratic Party had a real incentive to get him out of office, because if you ever went after him on the nursing homes, now you got to go after New Jersey.
Yeah.
You got to
They
go after
did it.
Whitmer. You
Whitmer
got to
did
go
it too.
after
Yep.
the.
There was 5. At one time we did a
What is
show
that?
on
What's
it.
that guy? The fat guy in
Pritzker.
Illinois. Oh yeah, that one there.
Pritzker,
Fat-
little
Pretzel,
fat guy.
Pretzel. What's his name? Pretzel.
Pritzker.
Pritzker.
Pretzel. Pretzel.
Pritzker, J.P.
J.P.
Pritzker.
Pretzel. He was useless.
He,
He
gets
would show up.
reelected. I don't get these people.
He would show up for press conferences for the pandemic. You couldn't understand what he was talking about because he's so dumb. I mean, it was really. Then we'll go this way and that. Yeah. Oh, come on, Governor. Let somebody else talk. I mean, where do they get these people? Where do the Democrats? I mean, there are extremely intelligent Democrats. Where do they get these people?
So here's a big question, Doctor and Mayor. Big question is something the legacy media has been talking about all day. What does this mean for 2024? What does this mean for 2024 in terms of the Democrat Party? Joe Biden, he says, some seem to, there's some leaks out there that he is going to run. He has also said, he's waiting until next year to decide. I think that might be.
So I think stay tuned. We're getting near the end here. I don't want to. Stay tuned tomorrow night,
So call it
and
tease.
we'll do a little more on this because there'll be a little more left. But we'll
Oh,
start.
I can't answer? Okay.
But we'll start talking
I
about
answer?
2024 because whether you like it or not, the 2024 election has begun, even though the 2020 isn't over and won't be over until December 6th.
Just a couple minutes left tonight. Thank you for joining us. Visit RudyGiulianiCS.com. RudyGiulianiCS.com.
Sign up for his Twitter, for his Rumble, for his Getter, for his, what are we on?
You'll get all the
YouTube?
information you're not getting. You're not getting a lot. One of the reasons we get these aberrational results like these guys who should be in the hospital in public office is, I mean, you can't discount the press censorship. And you can't discount that a good portion of America doesn't get the information. Look at the hard drive. Could there ever have been anything more relevant to a presidential election that was covered up? I think to cover that up
That's election
is
interference.
I think it's a form of being a traitor.
I think it's a
To
form of
cover up
election interference.
solid
2 minutes.
information
So
about
I'll
30.
let you give the final two minutes. Thank you, everybody, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She's
We'll let you finish.
But you're gonna.
Oh, you want me to stay? I'll
Stay there.
Okay.
I don't know why she's gonna get up and. She wants to go outside and look at the beautiful New Hampshire. I've never seen anyone more in love with a state than Dr. Maria is with New Hampshire. This is really, and this tested her tonight because she's also a dedicated dyed-in-the-wool Republican, and she was really in bad shape today.
Oh my God, I was
Really
so
in bad.
depressed,
Until I
so
pointed out to her, this was only this only feels this way because our expectations were so high. Actually, we had like a 60% win rather than the 90% win that we thought we were going to have. If we get the House, we won. That's all that mattered, really. The rest of it's gravy. This is how you stop them. Now, you really want to stop them and jam them, you get the House and Senate. But the Senate always gets, I don't care, even if we get the Senate, it'll be a little wobbly. Senators think they're too important to be tough. But these guys in the House, for at least the first 3 or 4 years they're there, they're going to be tough as nails. So I would not want to be Biden right now. And if I were Hunter, I think I'd get out of the country or get myself one hell of a good lawyer.
So, Mayor, what can folks expect tomorrow night, 8 p.m., same place, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern?
Well, I think we'll have an answer on the House.
Yay.
I think we have an answer on the House already. I am willing to tell you that I think they're all holding it back to give Biden a little bump because they ridiculously, forced him on us. Number 2, could have Nevada by tomorrow. I don't think so, but we might. If we have Nevada, it's going to tell us a lot about our future. So that might really take until Friday or Saturday.
Good night.
Is that what you think, Doctor?
Yes, yes.
Well, good
we've
night,
already
and
been
thank
warned.
you for being with us. We got our biggest audiences we've ever had on social media, and they're growing.
Huge.
Huge.
As President
He doesn't-
Trump.
He doesn't say that anymore.
I know, he doesn't.
Oh, maybe he should go back to that. It might be good for him. Huge.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, and God bless America.